Welcome, Peacemaker. I'm Maxwell Lord. My company, Lord Tech, finances the Justice Gang. With me are two of our founding members, Green Lantern and Hawkgirl.
Peacemaker Season 2 is the kind of show you can watch once and go, that was insane. But if you watch it twice, you start noticing James Gunn is doing something way sneakier than just telling a funny, violent spin-off story. He's planting a roadmap. And I don't mean vague, this reminds me of a comic stuff. I mean real, on-screen details. Background props, name drops, tiny logos, and a couple of massive reveals that directly set up where the DCU goes next. So in this video, we're counting down 20 details you probably missed that prove Gunn has a bigger plan. Spoilers for all of Season 2. And quick ground rule, I'm only using what's on screen or officially confirmed by Gunn. If I'm making an interpretation, I'll say, this is a read, not this is fact. Alright, here's the big idea. Season 2 is building three things at once. 1. The rules of multiverse travel. Doors, rifts, consequences. 2. The power structure on Earth. ARGUS, prisons, and who gets to decide what justice is. 3. The scale of the DCU, because this season goes from street-level jokes to cosmic threats really fast. And the details we're about to go through, they plug into those three lanes like puzzle pieces. Okay, let's count it down. 20. The Justice Gang reset that locks the new DCU in. Episode 1. The recap/rewind of Season 1's ending. Right out of the gate, the premiere basically says, different era now. The recap even swaps the old Justice League cameo roster for Justice Gang faces like Guy, Gardner, and Hawkgirl. So Peacemaker is operating under the new DCU continuity. That's not just a cameo swap. That's Gunn telling you, these are the pieces on the board going forward. So when later episodes start dropping DCU-specific names and organizations, it's not Easter eggs for fun. It's canon scaffolding. Episode 1. The Justice Gang interview scene. The interview happens inside an abandoned toy store called Crank Toys. And if you're a deep DC animation nerd, Crank is a nod to Cosmo Crank from the Batman animated series. Basically a Toyman/Toymaker flavor. But here's why it matters beyond the wink. This season is obsessed with wish fulfillment, with fantasy versions of your life. So putting the Justice Gang in a literal toy setting is Gunn quietly saying, yeah, this world is about to play with reality. Episode 1. Right outside Crank Toys. Chris walks past a woman in a bunny costume, crying her eyes out like she just got destroyed in an interview. That's White Rabbit, a real Batman villain. If you blink, you miss it. But if you catch it, it's a big signal that Gunn isn't just name-dropping Batman as a concept. He's placing actual Gotham Rogues into the world as background texture. And that's how a universe feels real. Not big events, but small people living inside them. Bigger world. 17. The throwaway line that doubles as a hard continuity. Episode 1. Harcourt's bruised knuckles. Chris asks Harcourt why her knuckles are messed up, and he makes that joke about 30 seconds to Mars. Harcourt fires back like she's personally offended by the idea of Jared Leto. It plays like a quick roast, but it's also Gunn drawing a line in the sand. This DCU will reference what it wants, keep what it wants, and it's not going to drag every old element forward just because it existed before. The bigger plan needs a clean runway. This is Gunn clearing it. 16. The Luthor incident that turns this season into a Superman sequel companion. Episode 1. ARGUS, monitoring the chamber. ARGUS literally treats the quantum unfolding chamber like a bomb and calls out the Luthor incident. They watch for another blip. That's your direct thread to the events of Superman and Lex's reality-ripping science. So Peacemaker isn't just joking around in the DCU. He's standing next to the most dangerous kind of threat. Not a villain with a gun, but technology that can tear open the world like it's paper. 15. The alien in the chamber that proves the DCU is already big. Episode 1. Inside the chamber. There's that pale, bulky alien, just sitting in the extra-dimensional space. No explanation, no pause, no, hey audience, look at this. And that's what makes it scary, because it's telling you the DCU has ecosystems we don't understand yet. Different species, different physics, different rules. So when the multiverse doors start opening later, it's not just alternate costumes, it's alternate biology. Episode 1. The Top Trio's House. On the wall, the top trio have newspaper clippings about the monsters and villains they've beaten. And the names are Deep DC Pulse, Ultra Humanite, and the Rainbow Creature. That matters because it makes Earth 2 feel like it has a full history, a full timeline, a whole world that existed before Chris showed up, which is why the later twist doesn't feel like a gotcha. It feels like a reveal you were always walking toward. 13. The Imps line that quietly sets up the finale's grossest door. Episode 1, and paid off in Episode 8. The top trio casually mention Imps like it's normal. In DC terms, Imps usually points to fifth dimension reality warpers, Mixyazpitalik type chaos. And then the finale pays it off with a blink and you miss it shot of a door opening to an imp-infested world. And in that same montage, there's also a door labeled 22, a separate reference that points to Earth 22 from the comics. So here's the bigger plan implication. Gunn is pushing the DCU power scale upward. Once you introduce reality warpers, the universe can't stay street level for long. 12. The one city name that puts Nightwing on the map. Episode 1. Keith's throwaway line. Keith drops Bloodhaven like it's nothing, but DC fans know that's Nightwing's city. It's a tiny line, but it's a world-building pin on the map. Gotham-adjacent stories exist in this continuity. And it's not just there for trivia. If you're building a connected universe, you need a sense that other stories are happening off-camera. Bloodhaven is one of those off-camera neon signs. DC's power structure. Episode 1. Clevis Thornthwaite's rant. On the Sphere, Clevis rants about breakouts at Belle Reve and Arkham. That's not random flavor. Belle Reve is Waller territory. Task Force X territory. Arkham is Batman territory. In one breath, Season 2 ties Peacemaker to both corners of the DCU. And when you remember ARGUS is watching multiverse tech, you realize Gunn is building a world where the government is terrified of metas, and is building cages for them. Quick breather. From here on, the details stop being cute, and start being a roadmap. Episode 1. The Therapist's Office. Harcourt's psychologist has a secretary named Miss Godfrey. Now, fact check. The show never says Darkseid. It never says Apocalypse. But Godfrey is a new god's name, tied to propaganda and manipulation in DC lore. So I'm labeling this correctly. This is not confirmed as Darkseid is coming, but it is absolutely the kind of breadcrumb Gunn would drop if the new gods are even on the table. And if they are, that's not bigger plan. That's bigger universe. Not a one-off. Episode 4. The location. There's a park called Kupperberg Park, a nod to Paul Kupperberg, one of the writers who shaped Peacemaker in the comics. It's Gunn, honoring the DNA. And you don't honor the DNA unless you plan to keep the character relevant. Because this season's entire arc is basically, stop treating Peacemaker like a joke piece. He's a real piece. 8. The multiverse tech didn't start with Augie. He stole it. Episode 4. The Chamber Origin. We learn the key truth about the quantum unfolding chamber. Augie didn't invent it. He stole it from an alien. That's a massive world-building upgrade, because it implies there's an entire black market of cosmic tech already moving through Earth. So ARGUS isn't paranoid for fun. They're paranoid because the DCU is already living in contact with the unknown, and it's only going to escalate. 7. The Prime Eagle storyline opens the door to mythic power. Episode 4 and 5. Red Street Wild and Eagly. Red Street Wild talks about the Prime Eagle like it's prophecy. It sounds like nonsense. Then Episode 5 makes it clear. Eagly really is the Prime Eagle. That matters because the season isn't choosing one genre. It's not science only. It's mixing multiverse tech with folklore, prophecy, and something that feels genuinely supernatural. And that's very DC. Once magic is real, the ceiling goes way up. Episode 5. The Funeral Flashback. There's a 3 years later timestamp tied to Flag Jr.'s death, and the episode references the Starro incident. That matters because Gunn has been clear that only the elements from old continuity that are referenced are considered locked in. So this scene isn't just backstory. It's a continuity anchor. It plants Flag Sr.'s motivation into the official DCU timeline, cleanly and clearly, so the rest of the universe can build on it. 5. Sasha Bordeaux is not random new agent. She's a future infrastructure character. Across the season, especially episode 5, Sasha Bordeaux shows up, and a lot of viewers file her as new ARGUS agent. But in DC Comics, she's tied to Batman and Checkmate, and often connected to Brother, I/OMAC style tech. The show leans into that, with her cybernetic enhancements. And here's the key point. Sasha is the kind of character you introduce when you're building a world of covert wars. Not hero versus villain, but who controls information, surveillance, prisons, and tech. That's a bigger plan character. 4. The Earth X reveal rewires the entire season on rewatch. Episode 6. Ignorance is Chris. Chris thinks he found paradise. Then Episode 6 reveals the truth. It's Earth X, a Nazi-controlled alternate world, and Gunn has been blunt that he calls it that. On rewatch, you realize how carefully the show hit it. The vibe, the perfect life feeling slightly too perfect. It's not a twist for shock. It's a twist that turns the multiverse into a moral test. What happens when your happiness is built on something rotten? That's the kind of question that fuels an entire DCU chapter. Alright, top 3. This is where Gunn stops winking and starts laying track for the next DCU projects. 3. Lex Luthor doesn't just cameo, he changes the direction of the DCU. Episode 6, Belle Reve. Episode 8, the LexCorp fingerprints. Flag Sr. goes to Belle Reve and makes a deal with Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. And Gunn has framed this as something that feeds directly into Man of Tomorrow. So this isn't fan service Lex. This is, Lex is part of the engine now. Then the finale reminds you how deep Lex's reach is, with stuff like Big Belly Burger, which DC lore treats as owned by LexCorp. So Lex isn't just a guy in a cell. He's a system, a network, a shadow economy. Exactly the kind of villain you build a bigger plan around.